Okay, welcome to the first video in a series of videos designed to help you walk through different parts of your statistics project. In this case, I'm going to find some data online, get it saved to my computer in a format that will help me, and then eventually put it together so I will eventually be able to load into Gradle. So I'm doing my project for this example on how crime is affected by various factors. My response or dependent variable is going to be the homicide rate. And my independent variables, among them, is going to take into account how much money people have. And specifically, one way of measuring that is GDP per capita. So I'm going to start out to find my homicide data. So I'm going to type in state by murder rate. I have a couple options, Wikipedia maybe, and Wikipedia often has really good links. But I'm going to try looking at this one. So deathpenaltyinformationcenter.org. So because this is an EDU or official government data, I just want to double check, is this reliable? I do see right here that they're telling me that their data sources include the FBI Uniform Crime Report, which is an excellent source. And it's okay if we're using one-step process data for the purpose of this project. So I scroll past this regional murder rates, and now I have nationwide murder rates, alphabetical by state, murder rates per 100,000 people. This is exactly what I want. Very often, if you see a table of data like this, you can simply select it all with your cursor and then copy and paste it into either Excel, Google Sheets, or LibreCalc. Those are all programs that do the same thing. They're spreadsheet programs. And when I have this in my sheet, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to have this murder rate per 100K, so I'll eventually know what I'm looking at. Yeah, I have a new sheet. So for right now, I'm done with this tab, so I'll get rid of it. And now I'm going to know, I know there's one source that is always good for economic data, and it's the Bureau of Economic Analysis, or BEA. And also I'm going to type in state GDP. So here I'm going to go, it's the very first link, GDP by state. On a lot of government websites, you actually have to tell them what data they want, and then they'll give it to you really nicely. So I'm going to click on interactive data by state. Let's see, I want my annual or yearly gross domestic product. And I want to make sure this is per capita. Unless you have a very specific reason why you want per capita measures. Click on that. All right, I want the newer data. Here for area, I'll click on all areas. So they'll tell me about all the states. And for the sake of right now, I will grab all my years. So I have this big data table, and it gave me what I want. I could try copy and pasting this, but actually even better is they already have a download button for me. So I'm going to hit download. I'm going to use CSV. Now I could hit save, but actually I think I'm just going to open for right now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything in here, copy it over to this original Excel file I have open. Then I'm going to get rid of the one that's just called download. I'm going to rename this as GDP per capita. All right. Now, eventually at some point, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to actually take the relevant data that I'm looking at and put it all on a single sheet. And here's how I'm going to do this. So this is going to be my eventual final data. And I think I want to use the year 2016 because it's recent enough that it's relevant and interesting, but not so recent that like some of these reports might have not been finalized yet. So here on my first tab, I'm going to copy over my state names and 2 years. And I'm just going to right click and delete to get rid of the year I don't want. Now over here, I'm going to do the same thing. First thing is I'm going to get rid of the stuff up top. Then I'm going to hit the geo name, as well as my year 2016. Okay. The reason why I copy these over is I want to make sure these actually match entirely. As you notice, these are not properly lined up, right? I have Alabama next to the whole United States. I do not want that. So I'm actually going to take everything, copy and paste it one line up. So now I have Alabama next to Alabama. And I'm going to go all the way down and look for any other errors. Here I see District of Columbia here, but it's not separated out in this other data set. I have two options. I can go find District of Columbia data, or I can get rid of it. In this case, I'm going to get rid of it. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and cut and then paste to move everything up. All right, looking good, looking good. Great, and I get to Wyoming. Here I have some regional data. It breaks it up into a few different parts of the United States. I don't need this, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Okay. Now at this point, I see that everything matches, which is good. So I'm going to go up back to my top. I'm going to do two last things to finish up. I'm going to delete my second row of state names because now that I'm sure everything matches, I don't need it. And then I'm going to rename this because I don't want a bunch of 2016s all in a row here. So this first one was murder rate per 100K. And my next thing was GDP per capita. Then finally, these are states. Okay. And so now I have a response variable and I have one explanatory variable or independent variable done. I'm not completely ready because two variables isn't enough to finalize, but this is a good step in the right direction. And of course, I'm going to make sure I save this as data for my stats project. All right, and this is the end of the first video. There will be more content to come.